wanted to mention something I was looking at really quick last night. I was looking at the Bucs cap table and looking at percentages and how they structured their team. Something I thought was really interesting was if you look at their front four, the money they spent on Vita Vea, Shaq Barrett, I think it's JPP, and I'm trying to remember who the fourth one is. But in total, it adds up to
Ndamukong Suh.
That's what it is. Those four players make up 19.9% of the Bucs cap. Seahawks pay Russell Wilson 20.3% of their cap. So before that I don't have any questions related to that, but I just saw that and that jumped off the page to me.
No, that's very interesting. So what do you think when you hear that? Is that 19%? Is that more or less than the Niners spend on their D-line?
I would have to check, but I believe it's just under what the Niners spend on their front four, at least.
I would imagine it's a little bit less.
Yeah, I think it's around.
The other thing I think Tampa's roster construction is very interesting, and the Niners should study it because the quarterback right there, but two, the defense is very interesting. I think they spend a little bit less on their front four, and the way they construct their secondary is instructive for the 49ers because it's all young guys. It's all draft
really is. I was just bringing up the Excel sheet that I was doing all this on last night. They spent 4% of their cap on DBs last year. I mean, that's
they signed Shaq Barrett, they signed Sue, they signed JPP, they drafted Vita Vea. I keep calling Vita Vea, and then drafted the entire secondary, I believe. So that could be something the Niners, you don't necessarily need to spend a lot of money on your secondary, but you do need to spend premium draft capital on it. First, second, and third round picks.
Yeah, and I think that's the point that stuck out to me is that the Niners should really be spending their cap or their draft capital on DBs and in offensive linemen. I mean, that's a whole other separate thing, but really DBs. I mean, it's criminal that they haven't taken a cornerback in the first round in this entire regime to me.
Yeah, that's another thing the Niners need to take away from the Bucs roster is what that offensive line looks like and how the Niners can learn from it. It seems like the Bucs are spending their draft capital, as you pointed out, on the O-line, not the D-line.
Yeah.
And in the secondary, not at wide receiver. You don't have to, you know what I'm saying? So
yeah. No, I mean, like you're just saying, I mean, literally they spend 15% of their cap on their wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends. So it's not like they're spending a ton. I mean, that's less than their front four. So you can get away with those bargains at the skill position, whether it's running back or tight end or wide receiver.
I love this topic of what the Niners can learn from the Bucs roster construction. I'm going to come back to it. I like that you put this on the radar. This is really good. Good stuff.
I do want to ask you though, because
Go ahead.
But real quick is, what do you think is more likely, that Jimmy G will be starting quarterback week 1, or that the Niners will make the playoffs in the next 2 years at some point?
Oh man, I think he's going to start week 1.
I think he's going to start week
1. I think it's a virtual certainty that he's going to start week 1. Yes. So I mean, I'm not saying they're not going to make the playoffs any of the next 2 years, but I think it's a virtual certainty, a lock that he's going to start week 1. So I got to go with that. And I'm not trying to be negative. I'm picking the favorite here. I'm handicapping.
No, I completely agree with you. And when I thought about that question, I think it's so tough because on the one hand, the Niners could go with the bargain option. They could go with Josh Rosen even, or they could draft a player. They could do any number of things at the quarterback position. But ultimately, I think because there's not going to be that obvious, we can trade for this player at a really great value and, get him at a good contract at the quarterback position. Because of that, they're just going to end up sticking with Jimmy G. I really don't see any other way, and it's disappointing. And
it comes back to what Cy said a few weeks ago. Like, if you cut him or trade him and the replacement is Josh Rosen or someone who's not really exciting,
or Grant, even Derek Carr,
or me,
a few weeks ago I told you Derek Carr, and when I told you that name, you were like, and I thought about it a lot more. The locker room would hate
that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, you have all these players who have played with Jimmy for 4 years and have gone to bat for him publicly.
Yes.
And if you do that, they'd be like, "What is going on?" Or
like, be like Derek Carr.
Yeah, and I think Jimmy, I mean, he creates the facade even in the locker room, especially amongst a certain section of the fan base, that the Niners are going to compete. And I think that's kind of living in the past. But for right now, if you get rid of him and don't replace him with a big-time player who makes similar money, I think the locker room thinks like, are we tanking? Whoa, 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 whoa. What are we doing? So I don't know. I would be aggressive, but I guess I might be unpopular if I was running the team and I cut Jimmy Garoppolo and brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick. Maybe George Kittle wouldn't be my dog anymore. I don't know.
I don't think he would be your dog anymore if you did that.
He probably liked me as soon as he saw Ryan Fitzpatrick in practice and was like, "Oh yeah, he is better than Jimmy." Thanks, Grant. I appreciate it.
Grant. I think he would find you out and say, "Thank God, Grant, we're spending 3% of our cap on Ryan Fitzpatrick instead of."
I'm so glad I don't have to prop up Jimmy Garoppolo in press conferences anymore. I'm so glad.
He will send you thank you notes.